This has been an absolute blast, catching up on almost 3 decades of news from you.
Just like that. Boom. It was really fun. Thanks for having me.
That's all right, and we've loved seeing you on Home and Away, having you back on our screens. And we'll see you next week with more Better Homes and Gardens. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tonight, no test, no freedom. Victoria joins New South Wales extending quarantine time for returning travellers who refuse to get tested. Refugee rally, hundreds marching in Brisbane, but are they being COVID safe? Welfare debate, will the federal government increase unemployment benefits for out-of-work Aussies? Today, the strongest hint yet. And main attraction, the big cat's back at one of the country's most famous zoos.
This is 7 News with Angela Cox.
The eyes of the country are fixed on Victoria as its coronavirus cases climb even higher. Now the state is stepping into line with New South Wales, forcing travellers returning from overseas to undergo mandatory testing or face an extra 10 days of hotel quarantine. Miley Hogan has been following this story. Miley, the Victorian government has been under pressure to introduce this rule.
Good afternoon. Victoria will follow the New South Wales government's lead and introduce mandatory testing for returned travellers. Anyone that refuses that coronavirus test will have to spend another 10 days in hotel quarantine, bringing their total stay to 24 days. It comes as cases in Victoria continue to rise. An extra 49 cases were diagnosed today. Those positive results from a testing blitz. The Australian Defence Force is helping with that effort. Medical staff are set up in the streets, outside people's homes, in showgrounds, trying to get as many people as they can tested to contain that virus. The Premier has not restricted people's movements between those hotspot suburbs yet, where those community transmission cases are popping up, but he hasn't ruled out local lockdowns if the virus keeps spreading.
That is not our preference. We'll do it if we need to. We'll do it if that is the appropriate response. But it's again another reminder, and I think just makes the point really clearly. Please come forward and get tested. If someone knocks on your door, take the test.
People in New South Wales are still being asked not to visit Melbourne. Good news in our state today, though, only 3 new cases. 2 of those are in hotel quarantine. One is a 34-year-old crewman from an overseas cargo plane who felt ill on the flight over here. He and his contacts are all in isolation.
Hundreds of demonstrators are rallying in Brisbane over the detention of asylum seekers and refugees. The protest technically breaks coronavirus restrictions, but police have so far allowed the gathering to go ahead. Joel Dry reports.
Well, for the second week in a row, several hundred people have rallied outside of what is normally a hotel on the edge of the Brisbane CBD to protest against what they say is the unjust detention of these people who are seeking asylum here in Australia.
The disruptions that we are causing are nothing really compared to what these men are going through on the daily.
Some of these men have been kept in this hotel for years now. They were originally detained on Nauru but were brought here to Australia as part of the Medivac scheme. Now many say they are healthy and want to be released on community detention, but as it stands, the government says no, and their detention continues. Today, hundreds of people rally. They walk through the streets, shutting down several major thoroughfares in Brisbane, trying to raise awareness of the plight of these 120 men.
I think in terms of the demands that we're asking, which is the free movement, stop forced transfers, and to be out by Christmas.
While it has been peaceful and conducted in conjunction with police, there have been some questions raised, specifically why the social distancing that is still in place here in Queensland continues to be ignored.
A smaller protest has also been held on the Gold Coast today, with whale researchers calling on the state government to remove shark nets during the migration season. The activists gathered on Burleigh Beach this afternoon, calling for a safer alternative. 4 whales have been caught in nets off the Gold Coast so far this season. The Morrison government has waved off speculation. It is considering a permanent increase to the job seeker payment. 1.6 million Australians now rely on unemployment benefits. Tim Lester joins me live from Canberra. Tim, where has this talk of an increase come from?
Well, Ange, there is intense speculation around how the government is going to climb down from a major increase in unemployment benefits that it announced back on March 22nd. Back then, as all of those jobs in the travel, entertainment and hospitality sectors began to unwind, the government announced what it called a coronavirus supplement, an extra $550 a fortnight on top of the base $565 a fortnight paid to those in the jobless queues. Now, the problem, that supplement legislatively ends in September, and the government now has to decide what it puts in its place, if anything. The minister today was denying speculation in News Limited papers that it will replace with a $150 a fortnight permanent increase.
It's factually incorrect. There is no submission to the effect that has been reported in the paper that is currently before me or I'm aware of.
That's good. It didn't last through breakfast. It is an inadequate payment. It doesn't allow people to live with dignity.
We cannot go back to the brutality of trying to live on just $40 a day.
People who are going to be on unemployment benefits of some sort, whatever you call it, will spend all that money, right? So that money is going back into the economy.
The government plans an economic statement 3.5 weeks from now. It says there will be no permanent increase announced at that stage, but there might be temporary changes. Ange?
OK, thank you, Tim. A jilted woman has allegedly run down and killed her ex-lover in a Sydney car park, fuelled by jealous rage. The 44-year-old was charged with murder early this morning. Robert Avadia has the details. Rob, it was a shocking attack.
Well, you might categorise this death as a crime of passion, but perhaps that romanticises the awful events that took place in this garage last night. Just behind me, where a 32-year-old man, Paiman Thagapur, was pinned against a wall, and police allege it was his ex-partner, Jacqueline Musa, who did it. That she was, in the parlance, a woman scorned, according to a witness who saw her storming out of the doors just behind me to roughly 8:30 last night, before she was followed by Mr. Thagapur, who was speaking to her. The witnesses told us that she was extremely upset with him and she saw him mowed down by a car.
I really didn't think that I was going to see anything like that.
Jacqueline Musa was taken from here to Concord Hospital last night for mandatory blood and urine testing to test for alcohol in her system, and she was subsequently charged early this morning with murder.
They had been involved in a verbal argument a short time prior to the female entering the vehicle.
The police will allege Jacqueline Musa caught her former partner with another woman and subsequently became enraged. Neighbours we spoke with today say he has only just moved in to this apartment block here at Wentworth Point, and that he was a very nice man.
4 teenage boys have been stabbed during a shocking brawl in Western Sydney. Tom Saker is covering this story. Tom, how are the boys doing?
Well, Ange, 2 teenagers are still in hospital this afternoon after suffering stab wounds here in Auburn yesterday, but police are still to determine what caused the violent brawl. Phone vision captured much of the brawl. As many as 20 people were involved. It quickly intensified and carried on for several hundred metres down the street, the teenagers leaving behind a trail of blood. 3 of those teenagers involved suffered minor lacerations, and one of them suffered several more serious stab wounds. All of them are aged between just 14 and 15.
They're my mates and they got hurt, which is bad. Like, I want to go see them. I hope they feel better soon.
Last night, police set up a massive crime scene and seized a number of items, including weapons used in the fight. Police say the cause of the brawl is still unknown and couldn't say whether it was gang-related.
It's obviously a very concerning incident, and those who have been identified will be put before the court.
They say the boys are assisting them with their inquiries, but no arrests have yet been made.
The New South Wales Labor Party has officially suspended Sharket Mosulmane and will seek to bar him from entering state parliament due to allegations Chinese government operatives infiltrated his office.
We will actually seek his support to do that, but if he challenges that, if he refuses to support that, then we will seek the support of the government and the crossbench to ensure that he is suspended from the Legislative Council.
Federal police raided Mr Mosulmane's home on Friday as part of an ongoing investigation headed up by ASIO. It's been a horror weekend on Queensland's roads with 5 people killed since Friday, prompting an urgent plea for drivers to take more care. A 24-year-old man was the latest casualty after crashing his ute in Logan this morning.
We've lost 116 lives on our roads to date, and that is 18 more than this time last year. This has got to stop. I'm pleading for each and every one of you, if you hear this message, we want you to pass it on.
Police say speed as well as drug and drink driving are their biggest concerns. With many Australians forced out of work during the pandemic, the Defence Force has reported a surge in applications. The amount of people wanting to join rose by 40% in April alone, with the biggest influx from Western Australia and the Northern Territory. Recruiters say the rise is due to people looking for stable employment. Lions are back at Sydney's famous Taronga Zoo. The big cats have made a return to the zoo for the first time since 2015 to live in a new state-of-the-art habitat.
We are so excited to have the African savannah open today and our lions back at Taronga. This is a day that's been coming for almost 5 years now.
Joining them in the new exhibit, giraffes, zebras, fennec foxes and meerkats. Of course, they are separated by glass walls. Still to come in 7 News, the moment a routine pickup turned to terror for one rideshare driver. And the health insurers pulling out all the stops to get their hands on your hard-earned cash. That's next.
4 seconds.
4 seconds.
Wow.
It'll come down
4 seconds.
to 4 seconds.
Wow.
There's only one word for this ending.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
New The Chase, weekdays at 5 on 7.
Instant asset write-off this tax time at Harvey Norman. Buy and install an item less than $150,000 before June 30, and eligible businesses may claim an immediate deduction in this year's tax return. This is a huge incentive. Let us put together a package to suit your business needs. But hurry, buy and install items before June 30 to claim in this year's tax return. Instant asset write-off this tax time at Harvey Norman. Tax law is complex. Before you purchase, seek professional advice to determine whether your business is eligible.
Beacon's Mega Stocktake sale is now on. Enjoy reduced prices on all our stock at all Beacon lighting stores across Australia or online. That's mega savings on all our stock during our Mega Stocktake sale.
Don't let this deal be news to you. Lock in full digital access to the Daily Telegraph, plus 7-day paper home delivery for just $1 a day for the first 12 weeks. Search Daily Telegraph offer.
Well, so far 2020's been a challenge. So this year, we've introduced some new options for Dry July. We're calling it Dry-ish July. To help raise funds for cancer patients, you can be a fortnight Frankie, a 3-week Wendell, or a fully dry dye. Old school. Go as dry as you're willing to try to help people affected by cancer. Sign up today at dryjuly.com.
We have some frightening pictures now of a rideshare driver being attacked while his car's security camera was rolling. He's spoken of the moment he thought he was going to die just doing his job. Tom Chadwick has been following this story in Melbourne. Tom, he fought off 2 attackers before he was stabbed.
It truly was a terrifying attack, all caught on camera. Rideshare driver Ranjot Singh took a booking here in Springvale when 2 men got into his car and assaulted him.
He just grabbed me from the neck tight here and I feel difficult to breathe. Another one, he just came and opened my right hand door and he also take my phone and grab me from neck.
As the pictures show, Ranjot tried to bravely fight off his attackers but was stabbed in the arm, causing significant damage.
It's on my left forearm, you can see in here. I got the stitches in 7 stitches in here. It was totally terrifying because it not happened with me in the last 5 years. It was totally terrifying for me.
Remarkably, he returned the next day to assess the scene and found that a discarded knife on the side of the road.
I just found a knife, and the knife was on the grass on this place, and exactly on this place.
Police have told 7 News the cowardly attackers are still on the run.
There are alarming new reports that Russia secretly offered bounties to kill US troops in Afghanistan. The New York Times claims the Russian military offered money to Taliban-linked militias to target American soldiers. The allegations have ramped up pressure on President Donald Trump about his relationship with Russia's leader.
His entire presidency has been a gift to Putin, but this is beyond the pale.
The White House has issued a statement saying neither the president nor the vice president were briefed on the alleged Russian bounty intelligence. The Duchess of Cambridge has visited a children's hospice in London, chatting to families and staff members at the centre. Kate also showed off her green thumb, planting some sunflowers for the new patio area. She wasn't concerned about getting her hands dirty, grabbing handfuls of compost.
One hand and then squeeze the bottom. That's it, and it goes out. There you go.
The Duchess also revealed Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis are also growing their own sunflowers, competing to see whose will grow the quickest. Thousands of cash-strapped Australians trying to reduce their living expenses are dropping expensive private health insurance. Now the big insurers are pulling out all the stops to try to lure new customers with a range of freebies. With so many Australians struggling as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, millions of private health insurance customers are now considering changing or dropping their cover to help make ends meet. New research has found since the pandemic began, almost half of Australia's 13 million private health customers have lost income. 1 in 10 have had their wages halved. 40% say they're planning to review their cover due to financial strain, and 7% are saying they're ready to cancel altogether. Susie Zack is one of those people impacted.
That was the thought of back of my mind that, oh my God, I can't afford this insurance anymore. It's too expensive.
But there is some good news. The big health funds are all desperate to recruit new members like Susie. So most of them are offering big discounts, gift cards, even airline points. Most of them end on June 30, just a couple of days away.
So now is a really great time to compare because the funds are offering really great incentives to attract new customers.
You can find a link to the government's comparison website at 7news.com.au. More and more expectant mothers are choosing to deliver their children at home rather than at hospitals. Samantha Brett has been following this story. Sam, they're now being given expert medical help.
And good afternoon. Well, 95,000 babies are born in New South Wales every single year. Home births make up less than 1% of that. Now a new program at Westmead Hospital aims to allow Western Sydney mums who want a home birth to have one that is safely monitored and publicly funded.
Our doctors at Westmead Hospital, our obstetricians and gynecologists, were extremely supportive and very collaborative in developing this model.
Ingrid Benedek was the first mum to give birth at home under the new scheme.
With my second labour being 1.5 hours and I was rushed with an ambulance to hospital, it was not a nice feeling. So knowing that it's just all going to be at home and no running around, it was like definitely put me at ease.
Dads love it too.
It's a lot better from a father's perspective as well, because in the hospital it's not very comfortable for the mother or the father.
Westmead Hospital is part of a national consortium helping women give birth from home across Australia. And they've had plenty of inquiries. More women are certainly interested in having a home birth in a post-COVID-19 world. Some of the world's biggest artists have come together for a virtual concert to raise money for developing countries struggling with the coronavirus pandemic. Pop megastar Miley Cyrus performed a cover of this classic Beatles song.
Help, I need somebody, help, not just anybody, help, I need somebody, please, please help me.
Coldplay, Justin Bieber, Jennifer Hudson and Usher were also involved. A staggering $6.9 billion have been pledged to the cause by governments, the private sector and foundations so far. Sport is next with Mel McLaughlin, and Mel, pleasure and pain for the Eels.
And she did have a bit of everything. They are back on top of the NRL but have lost one of their biggest stars to injury. Details next. Plus, the heat intensifies on Anthony Seibold as the Broncos crash to their 5th straight loss. And Charlie Cameron pulls down a Mark of the Year contender at the Gabba.
At HCF, Australia's largest not-for-profit health fund, we've always put our members first, knowing the importance of care when it counts, and it's never counted more than now. That's why we're giving eligible members access to a wider range of treatment options at no extra cost in the comfort and security of your own home. Vital health services such as chemo, complex wound care and intravenous antibiotics, so you can still receive quality care without having to visit a hospital, because uncertain times call for uncommon care.
Somebody just knocked at my door. I left this package there. Oh, this is dope. Wait, there's a massive stain on it. And this vanish. I feel like this is some kind of challenge. Let's go figure this out. Add half a scoop to cold water. Let's see if we can get this stain out. Yeah, I actually can't believe how quick it's working. So I got the jumper on now. I'm actually feeling this.
For amazing results, just cold wash with Vanish Oxy Action.
With hundreds of courses across 130 locations and online, you can be whatever you want to be at TAFE New South Wales. Be ambitious.
Welcome back. Parramatta halfback Mitchell Moses faces several weeks on the sidelines after injuring his calf in last night's Golden Point thriller against the Raiders. Canberra scored 2 tries in as many minutes late in the second half to force extra time. With Moses off, skipper Clint Gutherson got the ladder leaders home 25-24.
Gutherson takes the shot. He's got it this time.
We've played against the 2 grand finalists in the last couple of weeks, and we've showed that we've got a bit of belief.
Well, the Broncos maintain coach Anthony Seibold won't be sacked despite a 5th straight loss, this time against the Titans 30-12. In another massive blow, Joe Offengawi faces a 3-game shoulder charge ban. Brisbane has moved into second on the AFL ladder with a comfortable 37-point win over Adelaide. Charlie Cameron was revved up, providing plenty of spark in front of goal and in the air.
Charlie, hugely! Mark of the Year contender.
The only concern, a calf injury to skipper Dane Zorko. Last night, the Gold Coast Suns continued to impress with a 13-point win over Fremantle, who lost captain Nat Fyfe to a hamstring injury, while Jack Silvani spent the night in hospital with cracked ribs and bruised lungs from this hit in the Blues' win over Essendon. Well, skipper Harry Maguire has fired Manchester United into the last 4 of the FA Cup. United was pushed to extra time by Premier League cellar dwellers Norwich City in the quarter-finals.
Premier League, Cantwell! Oh, he's done it! Tom Cantwell delivers a fine equaliser for Norwich City.
With the penalty shootout looming, Maguire scored in the 118th minute to snatch a 2-1 win. In the Premier League, Wolverhampton boosted its top 4 hopes with a 1-0 win over relegation battlers Aston Villa. Jamie Whincup became the 5th man in the Supercars 500 club, but was cruelly denied victory in his milestone race at the Sydney Super Sprint. With Scott McLaughlin dropping back in the pack, Whincup led before Nick Percat's big move on lap 22.
From the outside to the inside, ducked down to the mirror line.
In his 200th start, Percat took the win from Whincup and McLaughlin. The reigning champ cruised home ahead of Lee Holdsworth in race 3. McLaughlin leads Whincup by 49 points in the championship. Jason Day was cleared of coronavirus during his 3rd round after being forced to play solo at the Travellers Championship in Connecticut. He arrived feeling unwell but returned a negative test before finishing 5 under, 13 off the lead. 5 players or caddies have tested positive since the PGA Tour resumed. Brendan Todd leads at 18 under, 2 ahead of Dustin Johnson after the Americans both shot career-low 61s. Phil Mickelson dropped 6 back after 1 bunker shot flew out of bounds onto some train tracks. So when you see where it went there, and his reaction is clearly just taking some really big, deep breaths right there.
Breathe it through.
Don't say a word.
Good stuff. Thanks, Mel.
Thanks.
Still to come in 7 News, we'll have all your Monday weather details right around the country.
It's the end of financial year.
The end of a huge deal store-wide at Bingley.
From TVs to technology,
To fridges, washers and much more.
the Bingley end of financial year sale. Last days.
A few days ago, James had neck pain. Then he discovered Voltaren Emel Gel. It relieves pain 2 times faster and reduces inflammation. Now with a no-mess applicator.
At Rest, we're making super simpler. With just one click, our Super Simple app makes it a whole lot easier for you to manage your money. It's part of our commitment to you.
You wash loads, but do you ever wash your washing machine? Every load leaves behind grime and, what's that smell? Pino Clean Washing Machine Cleaner removes 99.9% of germs, leaving it clean and fresh for longer. It's not clean unless it's Pino Clean.
She loves cats, so tonight I'll borrow my neighbor's.
My babies.
Temptations cat treats.
Looking for osteoarthritis pain relief? From June 1st, some products won't be available in front of the counter. Thankfully, there's Nurofen. Nurofen helps reduce inflammation and relieve osteopain for up to 8 hours. Switch to Nurofen.
Is that yours?
No. Happy birthday.
Actually.
Get your kids their first phone at Optus. Visit us in-store today.
Nurofen's advanced liquid capsules have a thin seam, which enables fast release into the body. To sort pain out fast, use Nurofen's advanced liquid capsules. Unleash the speed of liquid.
Quick check of the weather now for the return to work on the satellite. A series of cold fronts is affecting southern WA. One is near Albany, whilst a second stronger moving cold front lies to its west. While on the east coast, patchy low cloud is building over parts of the eastern seaboard. Around the capitals, Brisbane mostly sunny, showers in Sydney, -2 degrees in Canberra tonight with frost tomorrow. Melbourne and Adelaide 15 and storms in Perth. That is 7 News for now. Our next bulletin is 7 News at 6. I'm Angela Cox. Thanks so much for your company. Have a great night.
It says here, I saw at the corner of my eye a white female yelling, "Help, help, someone's trying to kill me." That's not what happened.
Peter Falconio was shot by a gunman who attempted to abduct his girlfriend Joanne Lees.
They found the killer.
He was the murderer.
Or did they? The case you think is closed.
34 inconsistencies.
A murder you thought was solved.
There's no projectile, there's no casing, no blood splatter. Somebody gets shot in the head, it makes a big mess, right?
It's what you don't know that will shock the world.
No one doubts me. Can you help me out? Did I run to that side?
I can't recall. I couldn't believe this had never seen the light of day.
We reopen the case.
Without a body and without a motive, you've lost 2 essential parts to a murder.
Did they get the right man? We are going to be very unpopular.
You've got a murderer loose, haven't you?
The event that will make world headlines.
There is so much more to this story than people will ever imagine.
Murder in the Outback. This July on 7.